a little bit about why you want to be sheriff? I've got it on video.
Okay.
Here.
Yes. I think we need a fresh start in Oklahoma County. I think that is very needed. I think we need safer communities. When I say safer communities, we're not just talking our urban areas. We're talking our rural areas. I've spoke with several people in the county, and they say, "Hey, we feel left out here in the Hera area. Hey, we feel left out here, Arcadia area. We feel left out here when you get into the unincorporated areas that don't necessarily have a dedicated police department to them." I think that is something that we will drive, that we will push our resources to the areas that we are responsible for. Second is fiscal responsibility. I think we all know that mismanagement has gone on. I think we all know that citizens deserve to know what they're spending their money on, what their money is going to. These resources, they need to know that they are getting all the bang for their buck, and that they know when they give this county money, it's protecting them. So that's what I want to do, and I want to be transparent about it. I don't want you to have to go through loopholes to be able to get the books. I want it to be, hey, can we see this? Here you go. Because we're not hiding anything. I also want to focus on partnerships. During my campaign, I've realized and spoken to several people, and it's been brought to my attention that there is not a good working relationship with Oklahoma County Sheriff's Department right now. You speak to several mayors, you speak to several city officials. We have an issue out east where they're talking about their communication and their comms, and how that situation can't be rectified because we're all pulling from the same rope. So keeping each other safe is a part of that thin blue line. It's a part of being a first responder. That is something that we need to work on. Not only with our agencies and first responding agencies, we need to work on it with our elected officials, with our city officials, because there's a lot of stakeholders in the county sheriff's department, and I want to ensure that there's a positive working relationship there. I think that is necessary. I think that is beneficial to driving us forward where we need to be, where we deserve to be. Also, I just want to progress. I want to find the ways to do things better. I'm talking admin-wise. I'm talking tactics. As we see, our tactics have to change. We are in a big situation now because tactically we're not sound. We push training and things so our officers can be, the best trained officers out there. We just want to progress and just want to be able to give our best to the county, give our best service to the county. And I know that under my administration, we can get there because we will have a great group of guys around us, and we're just going to do the best we can to provide a good job, a good service, a quality service that this county deserves.
So, what's the biggest problem you've encountered with the way things are going with the Sheriff's Department right now?
Like I said, the biggest problem I encountered is actually working well with other agencies. That is foreign to me. I don't understand how you can have people say, hey, we don't have a good relationship, we don't know if they'll come, we don't know, our comms are bad, they took us off their communication system. People rely on that communication system. When you're screaming for an officer and they need help, they need you there, and if we don't have reliable comms, that is a very negative situation to be in. So hearing that we're not playing well amongst each other, at least as law enforcement and first responding agencies, I think that's the biggest thing I've encountered. Because I've already knew about the fiscal responsibility, I knew about that issue. I knew that we needed to progress, but that really blew me. That really blew my mind. I understand what they're saying about the militarization of police forces. I know sometimes things can look aggressive, but I know we're trying to get away because your traditional belt-loaded, with everything on your belt, that is bad on hips, that is bad on, backs and stuff like that. And we have a lot of officers with injuries, so we're trying to load everything, what they're called a load-bearing vest. I don't think that's militarization. I know it's a different look that people aren't used to, but it's also safer for our officers. And we also have officers that aren't as hurt. Better quality of life even after they get away from work. Militarization, when it comes to tactics, and I know a big thing is the Bearcat, is that too aggressive? My stance on that is, if I have the ability to keep people safe, why not use those resources? The Bearcat, especially in these unlawful assemblies when people start to riot and really start getting chaotic, Bearcats would be a very beneficial tool to keep our officers safe. It is a barrier between the bad guys and us. I think we need to, and it's all articulation. How can you articulate to the people that, hey, here's how we're going to use this. I understand this is the way it looks, but this is the benefits from it. And I think it's just transparency and what your intentions are. And I know people would accept it more if they knew what they were getting. Mm-hmm.
So how does a sheriff's office vehicle get burned at a demonstration right next to the jail? How
Once
does that
again,
happen?
little to no barrier in between them. I will say those officers did the best they could with the resources they had. They were on the front line, and I applaud them for it because that's a tough place to be. And at that point in the game, it's life and then it's property. So these officers are a living human being. There's ways we could have made this definitely a safer place to be. But at that moment in time, I think they had to worry about, hey, do we need to sacrifice ourselves to get out there or not? And if all things were changed and we knew what was going to happen at that time and we could prepare, we could have done it differently. But it shouldn't have gotten torn because we protect our stuff so that I can understand.
I'm going to ask a tough question,
What's
right?
that?
So what we heard here tonight was, so your age and experience, you're a young guy,
Yes.
you're ready for the sheriff's department to
I am
run
ready.
it.
I am ready.
And why do you believe that?
I let God guide my steps. I do. And I fall back on my training. I fall back on my experience. And I will tell you, the one thing that's benefited me in life is because I'm not too prideful to say, hey, I don't know something. Go to somebody who knows it. I don't have that issue. I'm willing to say, hey, can you help me out with this problem? That way, I can provide quality. Because I think pride gets in the way, and that's when bad decisions are made, and that's what I don't intend to do. But I know I can run this department. Age and experience. The age, yes, I'm just passionate about what I like doing. I'm passionate about police. I'm passionate about law enforcement. I'm passionate about what we mean to a community. And the experience is there. So I just think my ability to reach out and with the characteristics, the qualities I have, I think that makes me the best candidate for the job.
Could you say a few things about the transition to the trust taking over the jail and you potentially as a sheriff being more focused on core law enforcement functions and the move to the new facility?
Yes, I think that's a blessing because now we get to put our resources in policing and protecting the community. I think, one, that's great. Two, I think the trust, like I said, more heads, more brains, more thoughts going to fix something is better than one. I think when you can say, hey, we have this collected group of people who are brilliant saying, hey, we want to make the Oklahoma County Jail better. I don't know how you can argue with that or even be against it, because if our current situation is poor and we have people that are willing to invest their time, I don't see why you just wouldn't explore that opportunity. And I think it's a positive thing, one that I'm really looking forward to being involved with.
So what would you see with being your role on the jail trust, as you would be a member of it?
Yes. Obviously provide insight to the operations of the jail, the budget and stuff that comes up, wherever they may need help. That's something I would like to help in. Learn about how they run the jail and just provide quality insight where I can. Anybody else?
I think we got it.
Well, what about the death recently in the jail? Should that be? I mean, how does the death in the jail recently happen?
There's a lot of things that contribute to deaths in the jail. I mean, these guys, these gals, they come into jail. We don't know what they're intoxicated on. We don't know what their health is, what their health status is like. There's a bunch of factors. We definitely want to limit the number of, nobody should die in jail, and people should be checked on regularly. But, there's a lot of factors that go into it, and it's hard to pinpoint one thing when somebody dying in the jail. So, I mean, obviously it's something we will address, and it's something that we will try to, protect people as much as we can and afford medical assistance where we can. but it's just some things are out of our control, especially when it comes to substance abuse.
Uh-huh.
Trust will certainly be dealing with that.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
They definitely will.
So can I ask a question? So when you do an intake
Mhm.
and it appears that the person might have mental illness or drug abuse, would you consider either yourself or even maybe it's the jail trust hiring a social worker to screen those individuals? Because if they're veterans,
Yes.
there may be something that
There's
veterans
other
benefits.
resources for veterans that they
Right.
can explore. When they come in, if it's in something intoxicated, if it's dealing with an intoxicant, well, our practice is we take them to the jail to get a fit. That's a fit for incarceration slip. That means a doctor, nurse, physician has checked off on them and says, hey, they are stable enough to be in the jail. When it comes to mental health, that's a completely different zone. I don't see anything wrong with a social worker because I believe, our jails are already overrun. Why do we want to put people in mental health crisis in a place meant for bad people? Mental health crisis and crime are two completely different things,
That's right.
and those resources need to be allocated to where they deserve to go, not saving space in a jail cell, costing taxpayers money.
So what's the deep skinny as you all can figure
Deep
out
skinny.
on these people doing the riots? Is it too simplistic to say George Soros and taking it all up the chain? Or, I mean, obviously it's been planned and trained.
Yes,
They've got comms, everything.
I can only speak on what I know, and I don't know. My intel, the stuff we are getting at the police department, it's just auxiliary groups just infiltrating these rallies, and I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if they're funded. I know that they cause chaos and then they leave, so that way the group that was protesting kind of takes the blame. But
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint any certain specific group or person that is, I guess, doing this.
Sort of like insurrection, isn't it?
Yeah.
If this to destabilize the nation.
It's really causing a divide. I'd say that it's
Yeah.
really causing a divide, and it's really sad. It's a very sad situation. I know officers feel bad. I know citizens feel bad, and we all are trying to come together. And I think strides are made and can be made, but it's hard to make those strides when we also have to deal with people breaking into ATMs and looting targets and stuff like that. Like, how can we focus on the real issue at hand about building a stronger relationship with the community, building their trust in us, having the hard conversations, things I believe need to happen.
Well, speaking of the community trust issues, I think that there's definitely room to extend those olive branches, given what we've seen over the last few days. With obviously, we have a few bad apples that are infiltrating the demonstrations. They're trying to take direct action, i.e., breaking something, setting something on fire, and hoping that others will follow suit. But we haven't seen that, like at the Capitol, when the person spray painted on the doors. The real protesters or ralliers, they cleaned it up. They ran that guy off and started to clean up. So how would you capitalize on that goodwill and that, as we like to say, that Oklahoma standard?
I think the guys who are doing all this bad stuff and do the damage, we need to punish them and punish them thoroughly, and make sure they are taken out of the equation. That way the good people that we're trying to focus on, that we're trying to build this relationship with, they can benefit from that without the distraction. But it's going to call for us to be, we're going to have to handle business. Can't allow businesses getting destroyed. So.